Let's go.
Welcome to Comics League Dark. I'm Jared. I'm here with JJheat. What's up, dude?
Hello there.
General Kenobi. So we got quite a few.
Kenobi!
There you go. We got. I need to get that as a drop, but we got great topics lined up for you all today. So I want to address something. So, actually, you might as well just jump into this. Yeah. Wait. The hell is James Gunn doing? Because here's the thing. And what's up, Lawrence? What's up, Brown Destroyer? What's up, Taladia? But the thing about it. So, for those of you that somehow were living under a rock, a Variety article came out, and they're known for accurate reporting. That's what we're wondering, because that it's not going to be a blanket reboot, that James Gunn is keeping like some actors and getting rid of others. So immediately the internet's like, what? Because and then the big highlight was that some Warner Brothers executives are okay with keeping Ezra Miller as the Flash. Now, there are a couple of ways to look at this. By the way, John Campea went on an epic rant about this, but he also said the problem is, no, they're not making Robert Pattinson part of the DCU. He was very clear on that. They're keeping that separate. But what was interesting is that, yeah, it's a couple of executives, but James Gunn is the one that ultimately makes the decision. So that's a point against it. But the thing is that if the Flash does well, like let's say in a world where the Flash makes close to $1 billion, I think they keep Ezra as the Flash. And I think if that movie does really well, I think this could put a wrench in James Gunn's plans for like a reboot and such. What do you think, JJheat?
It could definitely put a damper on things, because I don't know if this is executive wise or just James Gunn trying to go for a younger actor. But this whole campaign for the past month and a half has really blown up in James Gunn's face. And this isn't from a Snyder standpoint. This is from like general audiences, commercial. The whole thing's just falling apart.
It's not just Snyder fans who were pissed off about Cavill. Everyone was angry because that was the one thing that united the DC fan base, is that Henry Cavill deserved another Superman movie. Variety articles, nothing more a gossip and opinion-based site. It doesn't have the same privilege they used to have. That's true. Now, the thing is, let's assume it's true that they keep Ezra, they keep the Suicide Squad actors for some reason, and they keep Gal. Well, first off, if they keep Gal, I'll be like, okay, that's nice, because I'll be keeping my Wonder Woman. I would like to keep everyone, but here's the thing, though. And David Hernandez says, for real, I'm not a Snyder fan, but I really like Cavill as Superman. Yeah, exactly. Everyone did. It doesn't matter if you like what Snyder himself did. Everyone loved Cavill as Superman. That's why it royally exploded in Gunn's face. It's like if he held a hand grenade up to his face and pulled the pin. That's what happened.
Pretty much.
I can't, and apparently I've heard it from people that Zaslav is even aware of that. So it could be, I mean, has he presented his DC plan yet to Zaslav?
Not that I've known of based on my sources.
Okay, but if he hasn't, I guarantee you they may be having a different conversation about that plan. Like Zaslav walks in and goes, okay, people are really angry that you got rid of Henry Cavill Superman. Can you change it so Henry Cavill is Superman? Stop doing the younger Superman, because no one wants that. To quote Angry Joe, I loved it. I watched that Angry Joe thing like 3 times because that was so glorious. They've got to recast Ezra as the Flash, or I'm out.
I know we can't play it, but we definitely need to leave it in the link so people can watch it.
Mm-hmm. I've heard rumors that Cavill is hard to work with. No, that's not why. Or he wanted too much money. Well, when you have an actor that's that popular, you pay the money. First off, the dude is worthy of whatever paycheck he thought needed.
He puts in the work. Let's just say,
sure, you can work. And here's the thing: don't count Black Adam as like, oh, he didn't bring a good thing, because guess what? He wasn't the title character. If that was a Henry Cavill Superman movie with Black Adam as the villain, and it was called Superman Black Adam, guess what? That would make money, because it would have made, particularly if you specifically market Henry Cavill Superman, because you saw how positive the fan base reacted to Henry Cavill coming back in that post-credit scene, despite the fact that it was with the John Williams theme. But I'm all for a hard reboot. Otherwise, yes, exactly. Okay, so let's talk about this. All right. So for the longest time, ever since James Gunn came out about his slate, it's been understood for the most part that's going to be a hard reboot. In other words, everyone's gone. Now it looks like it's going to be a partial reboot with like some actors returning and some not. That doesn't make sense now. And it makes people, myself included, all the more angry that Henry Cavill is not in the suit anymore because James Gunn wanted a younger Superman, even though Robert Pattinson plays a younger Batman and he's 3 years younger than Cavill.
I agree. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense.
Mm-hmm. Black Adam made more money than... Yes, exactly. Here's the thing about James Gunn. You could say his movies are quality. That's fine. And by the way, what's up, Dave the Impaler? Zaza might be wanting to produce future DC films on the cheap and cast actors he can pay low salaries. Yeah, but here's the thing. If he does, he's seeing the reaction to these news, and guess what? Because here's the thing: he could be looking at it like this. There's no consumer confidence in this plan if you take out all these older actors. Ben Affleck, I understand, because he was trying to get out of the Batman role. Because remember, he was supposed to be Batman temporarily, but nothing James Gunn has ever directed has made it over $1 billion. I'm going to be very clear on that. And his Suicide Squad movie flopped. Hey, what's up, Tevia? So it's like this dude should, first off, it's a really bad look to announce that Henry Cavill's not going to be Superman anymore. And I'm writing a Superman movie about a young Clark Kent. That's a really bad, that really dug the knife further in, because what it really is like, first we lose Cavill, then we get James Gunn writing a Superman movie. It just looks really bad. So Tevia, the article came out from Variety, take it what you will, that the rumor is that Warner Brothers Discovery wants to keep Ezra as the Flash, and so that's going to be a partial reboot, not a whole reboot. And this is so stupid as hell.
Now, this could be because they don't want to make the Flash movie redundant. They're going to wait for the Flash movie to come out, especially with Keaton Batman cameoing in the film. This is just deflecting for the most part. This is just a huge deflection campaign.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't think James Gunn has any long-term plan. I wanted a Flash movie flop hard in the box office. What happens then is Warner Bros. Discard everything then, because Warner Bros. Tends to do that. That's true. Now, what I think could happen, let's assume the Flash movie does really well, because I think it will, because Michael Keaton Batman, and most moviegoers are nostalgic for Michael Keaton's Batman. Let's assume that movie does really well, like close to, if not $1 billion. And they all of a sudden want to throw all that away. What is that going to say? It's going to say they're a bunch of morons. That's what it's going to say.
Aquaman 2: The Lost Kingdom's definitely going to reach like at least 700 million.
And by the way, we're going to be all posting this if they reboot.
Yeah, second Warner Brothers.
Yeah, if they end up doing that, Warner Brothers Discovery right now is looking like a bunch of morons with what they're doing. Because I get they want to do things on the cheap, but when you have actors that people want to see, and by the way, I can't wait for all 3 of these movies, all 4 of these movies. I'm gonna go watch them anyway because I'm a hardcore DC fan. But I'm just saying, if they do well, what is that gonna? If they do really well, and Zaslav wants money, he could tell James Gunn, "Nah, we're gonna stay with this because apparently it's making money now that we actually have support for all this." And do you believe the Flash movie do well? Yes. I don't think Supergirl, because she's not exactly as made, because Supergirl could help, but not as much as Michael Keaton, because the Michael Keaton Batman movie was a massive deal when it came out. Yeah, she's a big deal too. Not as much of a draw as Michael Keaton Batman. That's why I think that movie could make $1 billion for people just watching it for Michael Keaton Batman. What do you think, JJheat?
I agree. The nostalgia, it's business. It's pure marketing. Now, you could argue it's nostalgia chasing, but I think, Keaton's going to draw in the crowd. Keaton's definitely a factor.
Plus, there's rumors that they could have like a scene where like the Flash goes through to the Reeves world, and we see like a recreation of Christopher Reeves Superman. It's gonna be like a multiverse movie, which I'm all the more excited for that. But Taladia, I wouldn't count that out, because I'm saying if Supergirl is an interesting thing, but I think that what will happen, these movies do really well. I think that they go, let's give because remember Garcia, DeLuca and Abdi wanted one more Justice League movie with the cast, one more Snyderverse Justice League movie. What I think is going to happen is that if these next couple of movies make bank, they're going to revisit that plan and say they'll at least postpone James Gunn's plan until they can properly conclude this story with like a Justice League 2 where Darkseid invades and they stop it. That's it. That's all they have to do. Just make that and we're good to go.
And I'm still cross-referencing my sources, but from the looks of things, James Gunn has yet to have his conference call with Zaslav. And from if his deflection campaign's anything to go by, he hasn't really thought everything out yet. It feels like he's just buying for time since he had just wrapped up Guardians the holiday special.
Yeah, and I think honestly he's not confident that he'll get all of this stuff. That, in other words, this stuff could be approved, particularly now with this backlash, because I guarantee you Zaslav knows about the backlash. Yeah, it's only interesting as the Batman. By the way, the Batman Beyond movie that came out would not have featured Terry McGinnis either. So that's all the more reason to not want it. Supergirl could be cool, but it's hard to say until we see actual. I'm cautiously optimistic about Supergirl. I'll be more like secure based upon what the trailers look like. I like the suit, but David Zaslav better be smart. Do you believe we'll get Cavill as Superman? Yes, I do. 100%. I think what they'll do is, let's say these movies do really well, these next couple of movies. This is why I tell people, do not boycott these movies. Then what that's going to show them is that this universe is still profitable. So they'll tell Henry Cavill, Affleck, Godot, how would you feel about one more Justice League movie? You can have a proper conclusion to this universe. Then if we want to bring you back, we can, but one more to finish the story, one last ride as a pun for the amazing Justice League comic book stories. That's what I get. That's what I think. That's a prediction for 2023.
And really, you wouldn't even have to try that hard. Just adapt Apocalypse War and you're good.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, because that ends with a flashpoint. It literally ends with the reboot. So there's really no reason not to at least do that or something like that, because that was Zach's plan. And with a Flash movie to reboot everything. It's really that simple. I know it's costly, but bite the bullet, because what you will do is you will gain consumer confidence, because right now Warner Brothers has a problem because of the old regime. Right now, like, take me. I'm concerned that they'll be able to complete even Gunn's storyline, because what has happened in DC in the past? They've announced a slate that looks amazing. Then the minute they get a bomb, they're like, "Oh no, we're abandoning this slate immediately." They don't commit to the story. If they give it a proper conclusion, like say we're going to give one movie just to wrap up the storyline, and then we'll undo this, then guess what? Then we're good. Then I can go see it. Now, can they sell it to Netflix? All right. They can't sell it. They can license it out to Netflix, and that would be another way to do it. Because
but it depends on Snyder's original negotiation when he left for Netflix. Would Snyder be willing to drop the bullet for a one last ride?
I think
because he's still under contract with them.
I think he would, particularly. Well, let me put it this way: it's more likely that he would be the director if it came under Netflix. And plus, I guarantee you they ask him. And plus, I think he would, because he knows how important it would be to his fan base.
Maybe, but even if it is a new regime, it doesn't change the fact they did him dirty, especially in the fallout from, I forget her name, his stepdaughter's apparent.
Yeah, Autumn.
Autumn, thank you.
Don't even get me started. It's disgusting what they did to this guy. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say that. Even for
artistic craft and a good fan base, some things you just don't let go. Period.
And so David Hernandez asked, "Do you think continuity overly complicates the cinematic universe?" No, not if it's organized. Not if it's organized. which because if it's organized and thought out properly and you have good communication, there's no reason for it to overly complicate things. The problem is that when you start a plan, then pivot completely and then just go nuts.
Phase 4.
Phase 4, exactly. Or like the DCU post that movie that shall not be named. And Tevia asks, didn't they announce they're going to do a Cyborg? They were going to do a Nightwing movie. Like, come on, guys.
Cyborg movie. What movies can you really do with Cyborg? You got
Grid. No, you could do. There was a Phantom Limb storyline. You could do a lot with Cyborg, and particularly Ray Fisher Cyborg post Zack Snyder's Justice League. You could have done something really good. And then Dave the Impaler says the actors love working with Snyder. I'm sure Batman came back because Zach, when he was filming the Snyder Cut, said, "Hey Ben, I have this great idea for a post-credit scene with you interacting with the Joker. Would you be interested in coming back for that scene?" Sure. Didn't even hesitate. That's why I think you ask anyone, they will come back. Nick and the Phoenix Press is here. Nick, if you want a link, DM me on Twitter and I will send you a link. Or you have the link in the group chat. So let's see. So and then Brown Destroyer asked, this is why I'm saying James Gunn has no plan, because James is giving mixed signals on Godot. He is saying that Gal isn't rebooted as Wonder Woman. Yeah, he doesn't know that.
If you think Henry Cavill getting booted is bad,
the moment
he announced
she is beloved by. She's beloved as Wonder Woman. Yep. The minute you announce that, I'm sorry, the James Gunn thing is going to go in.
It's dead. It's dead. There's no coming back from that. That's why I'm saying this is a deflection campaign.
And I think he knows that the minute he says anything about that, he's going to get knocked out, but he doesn't realize. This is why I'm saying he has to shut up on Twitter, because guess what he's doing? He's creating confusion. So we don't know what the hell is going on, and that's making us even more crazy, and it's creating all these other crazy theories. It's not helping. Imagine how awesome the DC would be right now. Yes. I want to say this. Project Justice League would have been live action, by the way. Yeah, Project Justice League was more or less, with some changes, what would have happened had they not taken 30 minutes of BVS. And we have someone in the back room. Who could that be?
I am Phoenix.
What's up?
Not much. You threw up the Phoenix symbol and I appeared.
Yeah. So anyway, we're talking about the James Gunn thing, and what we're saying is that we think that because reportedly he hasn't had that meeting with David Zaslav yet. So my thinking, I still think he's going to do a reboot. How? There's no indication now he's going to do a hard reboot. He's only doing a hard reboot on Henry Cavill's Superman, apparently.
Here's where I stand. Okay, I go by facts. I go by what we know for sure. So we know for sure Henry's out. Everything else is speculation. Them saying Flash is going to be on is just cope so that they can get the maximum return for Flash. Anything they say, that's my opinion. So they're going to say anything they can to get those butts and seats for the Flash. Because if they say the Flash is out before the movie's out, it's just going to tank the movie. So anything they say before then, with a grain of salt. Because remember, they lie. These producers lie. Because remember, in the lead up to Star Trek Into Darkness, J.J. Abrams swore up and down that Khan was not in the movie. That this is not a Wrath of Khan remake. And literally went and see the movie. Khan!
And by the way, problem started out to BVS. I have a story. So recently I went on the Nerdette's Newsstand channel to defend the Snyderverse. She had me on. She thought it was a great idea. And it's kind of funny when we talk about BVS, she has only seen the theatrical cut of BVS. So when I'm explaining to her Lex Luthor's plan, she was like, well, they could have explained that better in the movie. I'm like, they did have to watch the extended version you have to watch the Ultimate Edition. That's it. It's to the point where the other version doesn't exist. But so what are the odds James Gunn is let go by Zaslav over the next year if there's more backlash? Let me put it this way. The only way they're getting more backlash is if he officially announces Gal Gadot's not going to be Wonder Woman. That's when
pretty much.
That's when
you're done.
Wait, Nick, before you say that, real quick, that's when this happens.
He literally had the entire Snyder cut in his background.
if I
Yes, I do. I do.
I mean, that's been the running joke forever. But like,
Nick has all of the Witcher just going F off Bard on his channel. So excuse me for having my favorite movie on here.
I mean,
Go
I
ahead,
have
Nick.
a 10-hour cut of F off Bard, F off Bard, F off Bard. You know,
All right.
which by the
So what
way,
do
I
you
might
think,
have
Nick?
to retire. I might have to retire that clip with the new YouTube changes. So,
But
anyway.
but yes, and by the way, David Hernandez agrees with you.
Thank you, David. So I if I were to speculate, I would hazard to say that David Zaslav was not fully on board with letting Henry Cavill go. I'm not saying he's a Henry Cavill supporter, but I feel like he's not fully on board with that idea. He wasn't fully on board, but he's trying to trust James Gunn.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because David Zaslav has made statements saying Superman is the center of it, and he's made at least inferences that he respects Henry Cavill. I feel like Dave Zaslav's not 100% on board, but he's allowing James Gunn to do what he needs to do.
A chance.
Yeah.
What I think, building off of that, what I think is that maybe James Gunn told him, "Hey, listen, I got to do this because this universe is not popular with the fans. This iteration of Superman is not as popular." So then when the backlash happened, they're like, "The hell just happened?" And then
But you're comparing a modern adaptation realistically to a de facto classic from the golden age. You can't compare the two.
Silver Age at the most, at the earliest in terms of grieve.
See, right now DC has a huge communication problem because right now, as it stands, they're doing well. Yeah, but it's now even worse than ever because James Gunn won't shut his freaking trap. But
he's not wrong.
He really needs to shut because he's only causing more confusion.
Because here's the problem. So we know Henry Cavill's out, but like everyone else is kind of in this flux. And I think if James Gunn was going to do a hard reboot, recast everyone, I'm not saying everyone would like it, but we can at least be like, okay, fine.
Yeah, exactly. I was on board with it on the hard reboot because I'm like, okay, as much as this hurts, it's necessary.
But this new
the one thing that
style situation where we pick and choose what we want to bring over, it's a recipe for making everyone
disaster.
mad.
Look what happened to the new Fett too. They tried to fit in Blackest Night in a universe where the characters that were key to Blackest Night didn't exist yet.
And speaking
if they have to reboot it, if they have to reboot it, that's fine. Go ahead and hard reboot it. Don't like. And by the way, like John Campea has said, multiple people have said that were in favor of the hard reboot. You can't just take what you want and just limp on. But guess what? Apparently, that's what they're doing. And I'm like, dude, like this way, I'm convinced the only reason why he recast Henry Cavill because he's not too old. Because let me put it this way, Pattinson is 3 years younger than Cavill. You can't tell me that Cavill can't play a younger Superman, but the only reason why he recast it is because James Gunn is a narcissist who had his own Superman movie that he wanted to do. I'm convinced that.
Wouldn't be the first time ego jeopardized an entire brand.
Yeah,
I mean, literally, that's been the modus operandi for the entire DCU. It's like people come in, the egos get in the way, they F it up, and they cycle out to the next person. We're on the third cycle of person coming in. They'll be the same. If first it was Snyder, then it was Ben Affleck for a hot minute, then Jeff Johns, and then Roland Emmerich, and then Walter Hamada. It's like they come in, they F everything up. I'm really trying hard not to curse, so please.
I appreciate that. Thank you, brother.
They come in, they trot like it's like, oh, we're gonna give them a chance to fix everything, and then like 2 years later, at the first sign of the thing, they jettison it. It's just like you keep doing the same thing over again. It's like,
and Dave, yeah, that could happen, but at that point, really important characters that were key to Blackest Night didn't exist in the new 52 universe. You could say it happened between like Origin and like Throne of Atlantis.
Similar events.
Well, here's the thing: Aquaman has to die for that to happen. So Aquaman has to there's too much convoluted stuff for that to possibly happen, or like fitting in like 5 Robins in 5 years. That doesn't work.
I mean, I knew that Batman get around, but dang.
Yeah, I know. Hard reboot is better. Yeah, the hard reboot is fine, but if you're going to keep limping along, then I'm sorry, you're going to have to keep the popular elements. And that's what James Gunn said they were going to do. We're going to keep what works. Henry Cavill Superman works.
Yeah.
That's why DC was never on the Normers' mind. Yeah, because, and to quote, all right, can't believe, this was a tweet sent out by Mia Khalifa like a year ago. She said, the problem with DC is that it kept getting kneecapped by the executives. I'm like, you're right on that one thing.
Yep.
That's true.
I mean, if anyone knows what it's like to be effed over, I'm sure it's her.
Oh, yeah. And no, I don't think it would be
Roll the clip.
better with Reeves
Roll the
either.
clip, Jared. Roll the clip.
Let me see. What was it? Oh, I know. And by the way, no, I don't think, because here's my problem with Reeves. Because then every DC movie would be a long slog with horrible pacing. That's what it'll all be.
Pretty much.
I'm against one guy having total control over the DCU. I'm sorry. That's just me. Even Snyder. Because, and by the way, Snyder was at least willing to, because Snyder's plan was to have other directors fill in stuff. So he was going to work with other directors. So really, it wasn't really him. It was just him and the other directors working together.
I will concede this. Black Adam is relatively salvageable. There is an improvement could have been made if it weren't for Rock's ego and that specific clause in his contract where he can't lose a fight.
Yeah. I'm
like,
Black Adam loses a fight every Tuesday as someone that has read his comics.
It's like, I mean, this is stereotypical for The Rock. He comes into a franchise, tries to make it all about him. He f's up the franchise, and then he gets booted out. Like he tried to do that Fast and Furious.
I was about to say that.
And he got booted out of Fast and Furious. Like, hey, we'll give you a spin-off, which the spin-off was okay. But like, Fast
and by the way, Lawrence,
really hampered down.
In terms of your issues with Snyder's plan, if you talk about the storyboards, those changed. Those 100% changed, and Snyder's plan properly executed is fine. Now, Tevia asked, what happens if the Flash movie bombs? And I think they just go full steam ahead with James Gunn's plan.
See, here's the problem that the DCU is like, they've been looking for the sign. Like, they've been, like, all these movies have fallen into this black hole of like, they do too good to not do a full reboot, but they don't do good enough to indicate that they should go in the direction. Happened with the Batman, happened with Black Adam. All these films are doing okay, but they're not doing like gangbusters to say, hey, we should go in this direction.
Watch. If Aquaman 2 makes another $1 billion, you can't tell me they're going to screw with that and turn him into Lobo.
Well, they could just double cast him since Aquaman.
Or they could double cast him, but in other words,
if Aquaman does $1 billion, he will not become Lobo.
And Retro Nerd Girl. First off, hi. It's been a long time since we've seen you in the chat. We love you, but yeah, it is a hot mess right now. And James Gunn is not helping at all. And by the way, Round of Stream makes a good point. Zack Snyder is the most successful in the DCU. But yeah, because when you look at his movies, if you look at the trend graph, they were all trending toward $1 billion, to the point where, first off, if BVS had not had that half hour taken out, it would have made $1 billion because it was at $800 million. Second off, if you had let's say a 2-hour, 45-minute to 3-hour cut of Justice League, it would have made $1 billion. I'm convinced.
I would argue, and this might be a bit of a hot take. I feel like if what was the guy? If the Jeff Johns regime was allowed to kind of do what they wanted to do, I feel like we might be on the right track, because I feel like that was kind of like that one moment where they're kind of starting to get in the right. Because you got to remember, Shazam is a Jeff Johns movie.
Yes.
Aquaman is Jeff Johns.
Yes.
Like these movies,
because it's all his runs.
I feel like if Jeff Johns was allowed to continue at the head, I think we actually might be in a good place right now. But
he got in the beef with Patty Jenkins, and then Hamada threw him under the bus. It was a huge thing.
And the Ray Fisher stuff. So,
because remember, the highest grossing.
Hey, what's up, Beanosh? What's up, dude?
The highest grossing DC movie, Aquaman, is a Jeff Johns movie.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, and by the way, Enosh, if you want to join the streams, let me know on Instagram or Twitter. I'll send you the link. And
Because I feel like
yes,
if you were, I feel like Jeff Johns' approach would be like, okay, we're gonna be in the Snyderverse, but we're gonna like tone it, do a different tone.
in other words, but
continuity.
here's the thing with Jeff Johns, at least like Shazam and Aquaman, they were appropriately toned for their characters. Even Aquaman, because that version of Aquaman was pretty much the Zack version of Aquaman, where it was so bad. They needed someone to blame for Justice League, and yeah, they blamed the wrong dude. Man of Steel, a movie had nightmare scenes. Yes, keep in mind shared universe. Warner Bros. Executives removed it, so Zack Snyder had more long-term plans from the very beginning. Yeah, because he was brought on. I would normally, bro. I'm actually not even a home. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But Wonder Woman has mother boxes. Warner Brothers removed it. Yeah, they kept trying to like kneecap them at making like a shared universe. Because when you look at Zack's, because the original plan, by the way, was when Zack was brought on and said you're going to make the cinematic movie universe, it was going to be Man of Steel 1, Man of Steel 2, and BVS. And Nick, remember, we said there should have been a second Superman movie. Guess what?
Mhm.
And Man of Steel 2 would have been the more classic Superman before you get into that darkness. But Warner Bros. Discovery said, no, we have to establish the Justice League now. And I'm like, the hell, guys, you're not working. Because the thing about Marvel, they didn't start off with like Iron Man, Thor, Avengers. No, they went Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and then Avengers. And it was,
They built.
there
the
was
team.
no like, yeah. In other words, they spent more time like establishing it before they set that up. And then the executives just wanted to rush to catch up with the MCU and make their quarterly bonuses. Because I think that if Zack's movies had not been screwed with, in other words, if BVS had not taken that half hour out, and if Justice League was left like was delayed so Snyder can finish it, I think that it would have been like totally fine.
So was it BVS or Justice League where they literally cut down the movie for the sole purpose of running more showings throughout the day? Like, was it
Justice League? Wait, I thought
it was mainly for Justice League, but yeah, they did the same thing for BVS, and they said, guess what? It had to be exactly 2 hours, which is weird because most MCU movies are 2.5 hours. So I don't know what the hell you're doing there.
Yeah.
And yes, I do mean that. It's just I'm ranting about Warner Bros. Discovery. Thanks, Tevia. And wait, were those scenes filmed? They need to be restored. In the DVD scene for Wonder Woman, they do have the deleted scene of like them teasing they're going to try and find the mother box. So they do have that. The MCU had a cohesive plan. Yes.
See, the thing about the MCU that really worked is there was literally this thread that you could like. There's literally this thread that you can trace from Iron Man all the way to Endgame, and one of the geniuses was a post-credit scene. Was you watch and they like you watch the movie, and the post-credit scene literally teased you for the next movie in the row. You know, so you. And let
by
the
movie, way,
like
there's someone very special in the chat that I really just have to like. What's up, Snyder Queen? What's up? And Feige was a baller from day one. Yes, exactly. I just don't understand what's wrong with long movies. Exactly. That's why I think it wouldn't have mattered if Justice League was like 3 hours long, because people went to go see the Lord of the Rings movies.
See,
like what?
Shorter attention fans.
Let's hop on our time machine and go back to like 2007, 2008. Iron Man comes out. It's a hit. They're talking about doing a thing. And then you go see the Hulk, and in the post-credit scene, Robert Downey Jr. just walks into a bar. Like, I actually remember, like, you know, I was actually like at home, and my friend texted me like, "Dude, Tony Stark!" You know, it's like you had that post-credit scene from Iron Man.
What's up,
1,
Tim Talk?
Really
What's up? On your left, yeah, that was so dope when that happened.
Oh, by the way, have you ever seen the? Did you ever see the alternate take for that one where Nick Fury literally mentions mutants and Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I've seen it.
Wasn't there also like an outtake for the original X-Men movie where someone dressed as Spider-Man just runs out on the set?
Yeah, I think that was more of like a gag, but yeah.
Yeah, all right. But anyway, so Dave the Impaler, my boy, so say what you will about Marvel. I'm not a big fan. but they did set up the big four of Iron Man, Thor, Cap, and Hulk before Avengers, and introduced Hawkeye and Black Widow and Loki in there. Yeah, they did the proper setup before they did that. It was yeah. And here's the thing. Again, I've asked I asked David Finch when I was talking to him at the comic book convention. Whenever I asked a creative, okay, so what do you think about the Snyderverse? They always inevitably said, if Warner Brothers had not screwed with Zack Snyder, it would have been successful and we would have been done by now. So I'm like, thank you. Nice to know I have good taste in comic book and favorite artists.
Isn't it crazy how even in the good timeline, Flashpoint would probably be coming out right about now?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that true? Isn't that funny? No, Flashpoint would have already come out by this point because you would have had Justice League 3 would be 2019.
So Flashpoint being the thing that resets the universe is what I'm saying. Like, I think Flashpoint in the good timeline would have come out earliest 2019. Probably more about now because let's assume COVID happens in the good timeline anyway. Imagine that. Imagine in the good timeline, COVID doesn't happen because
you know, what'd be hilarious is if the COVID thing can be linked to Warner Brothers too. In other words, like because somehow them taking out half hour to BVS somehow went to that.
Okay. Someone please make that domino meme where it's like
someone made that of like, okay, so at the end is Henry Cavill not being Superman anymore, and at the very beginning it's taking half hour out of BVS. Like, yeah, pretty much. But my point is that let's assume that all of this is true that came out about like the Flash staying about Ezra staying on as the Flash. Let's assume that's true. Okay, then they're going to piss off a lot of people because they're like, you're keeping Ezra, but you're not keeping Henry. They basically, exactly.
Also, by indication, they're keeping Amber.
Yeah, I'm like, this is not a good look, people.
Yeah, especially if Aquaman 2 does well.
Considering that the rumors that she's going to be giving birth. And they're probably going to be, she's going to be in a hospital. They found another way for her to crap the bed.
Nice. but yes, exactly. It's a bad look. And Warner Brothers is not looking so good. Because let me put it this way. I don't care. Even if, like, let's say it's true that David Zaslav wants to go cheaper for the younger actors. If these movies make $1 billion, I guarantee you it's going to be like, oh, no, April Fools, we're not doing that anymore. Or at least they make close to $1 billion. In other words, if they do extremely well, I think he's pretty much going to say, okay, you know what? We'll do one more. At least one more movie.
I just don't think there's a timeline. Like, there's a situation where I think Aquaman is probably going to do really well. I think it's probably going to do at least 800 to $1 billion. That's my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Flash is
Michael Keaton, dude. I think people will show up for Keaton.
I mean, that's really kind of the only reason.
And the fact that it's rumored that we might get like a showing of like the Christopher Reeve Earth.
Because remember, 89 and Superman 78 technically take place in the
same Earth. It's confirmed. And by the way, yeah. And by Hal Jordan. By the way, I love how I have the entire Justice League in my chat. I love this.
My prediction for Flash is it's going to do between $500 and $700 million.
But yeah, as long as it does like really well enough that they'll say, okay, because guess who also is in that movie? Henry Cavill. And there's rumors that they want to put the cameo scene back in.
Because I feel like with Shazam, it didn't get enough love when it came out, but since then people have kind of gone back and be like, okay, yeah, this is actually pretty good.
Shazam, I think, will do well. Particularly Gal Gadot's going to be in that one. All but confirmed.
Yeah. They should put The Rock in there, but, you know.
Of course, I don't know. I think JJheat had a go back. But I think that, yes, they better put there's rumors that they're going to do that. So hopefully they do. and that would be really helpful.
Well, Henry Cavill's out, so it's like I'm not.
Well, I think what they could do is just do one more Justice League movie and say you only have to show up for one more movie and we're done. That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Speaking of
as
which,
cool as that would be, if they were gonna do that, they wouldn't have told Henry he was out. Like literally, this is a hard out. He's out, and there's.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. It's that I would agree with you. Let's say that these movies make $1 billion. They could come back to him and say, you know what? At the time, we didn't think it was profitable. Now we know it's profitable. Let's just do one more movie.
Okay.
That's it. That's all you got to do.
Here's the thing. While that could very well happen, I'm not saying it won't happen. To me, it's hope. It's copium. It's literally you're just huffing the copium, and you're because it's just setting yourself up for disappointment. My thing is, if it happens, cool. But I've had enough disappointment. I've had enough roller coaster of emotions. I am just not gonna allow myself to hope. Because like this is all like everyone is saying everything. Because like, you had leakers saying Henry Cavill is in. He is here to stay. And then he doesn't. So it's like I don't know what to believe anymore. So I'm just gonna wait till stuff happens.
Only rational thing to do is do a hard reboot with a controllable budget, which guaranteed hit with market research based upon there being a younger cast. Is a simple thing that can save. I really hope they don't turn the DCEU into the CW. Shazam will struggle. People don't like
the very fact you would think that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a problem that they could. That's my problem with the younger actors is that they'll turn into the CW.
Wait, they don't like Zachary Levi?
Because of the James Gunn stuff he was doing. I wouldn't have a problem with keeping Ezra and Turds.
Wait, I'm confused. Please, I request elaboration. What was he doing?
Because he did a post coming out and like talking about telling people to calm down their hate on James Gunn. My problem was when he said that like, oh yeah, his version of Suicide Squad was better than David Ayer's Suicide Squad, and everyone's like, but we haven't seen David Ayer's Suicide Squad. What the hell are you doing?
I'm going to choose to believe he's just sucking up to Zack Snyder because Zachary Levi doesn't have as much of a better position. He's not The Rock. He's not Henry Cavill. He's lucky to be in this position. So
he doesn't have a lot of star power, basically.
I'm choosing to believe he's sucking up. That's what I'm choosing to believe.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, nice one, Retro No Girl. Yeah, he shouldn't have said anything until The Flash came out. That's what he should have done. He should have shut up and just said, "Okay, we're just doing this. Don't talk about any casting or anything."
Roll the clip. That's gold. Roll the Joker clip.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes, that is excellent.
Better, but okay.
But yeah, they need. That's why I think James Gunn's a moron. He shouldn't have announced that because he just screwed he just really messed everyone up. He should have just kept it. Just leave it until The Flash comes out, and then you can announce that. But guess what? He didn't. You can't blame leakers. The WBD told Cavill to announce return, yes, into 180. But no, they could have waited to do the 180 until after The Flash comes out. We need to help out Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca by supporting these movies. Yes, that's why I'm saying. Because remember, they pushed for a Justice League Part 2 with the Snyderverse cast. So I think that let's say The Flash makes $1 billion. This could give them a little more push to at least pitch it and say, okay, you can do a reboot. Just give us one more movie to end this story, and then we're good. At least to pitch it.
See, Flashpoint is like is the one shot Derringer. It's your one shot to reboot the universe. I'm actually going to be really curious to see how they play out Flashpoint. To see like, I really fear what they're going to do is like is what they did in the CW with Flashpoint, where it's like, oh, ripples went out, and it changed certain things. It literally just like, oh, we used it to fix plot holes. Like, oh, Diggle had a girl, but in the Legend of Tomorrow, it was a boy, so now it's a boy because if we fix plot hole.
Yeah.
I really feel like they're going to do that, saying, oh, some things changed, some things are different. So it's like, oh, now Superman is different. everything. It's like it allows them to pick and choose what they want to do, and it's just, I'm sorry, even for comic book audiences, it's confusing. Imagine for general audiences.
Because guess what? Flashpoint for the most part, completely rebooted. For the most part, there were some things they kept, but for the most part, it was like, no, it's done. No
and
movie
to be
is
fair, it was Batman and Green Lantern. Those two, if you wipe those two clean, that would have. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair,
CW Flashpoint was cool and stupid at the same time, as was most of the CW's Arrowverse, which was the biggest waste of time I think ever. Well, I'm getting behind that they're not going to sell it; they'll license it and say you could tell those stories.
There's a difference.
There's a difference because they can't sell it because they would have to sell DC to and Netflix.
That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because Warner Brothers, they're in the streaming business. It's just like that would be like saying, "Hey, let's let Netflix continue their Defenders universe." It just doesn't make sense because they have Disney Plus. I'm sorry, but I got to say the sells whatever to Netflix is literally the stupidest thing ever, and anyone who believes it is a freaking moron.
And by the way, Spider-Man.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
That, but like, yeah.
Here's the thing: you realize that Snyder was not going to direct everything, right? I really hope you realize this because it wouldn't necessarily be like that. Because reportedly, guess what? Abdi wanted to do a sequel to Zack Snyder's Justice League when the movie came out. The only reason why they didn't do it is because Emmerich shut that down. That's why they were going to do Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2. They were going to greenlight it immediately after the movie came out. So I don't know where you're getting that information.
Emmerich was incompetent, and then conned Zaslav into buying DC to wipe his hands of it.
And by the way, the 5-movie arc would change significantly. It couldn't. It Snyder in fact says he has all new storyboards. So how do you know it would still be a 5-movie arc? And then Netflix does not have the money to buy anything of that magnitude. That's true.
Yeah, they have a lot of money. Like Netflix is.
But here's the thing, Nick. Here's the one thing they do have on the licensing thing is that Zaslav is shopping around like the Batman animated series. He started to shop down a lot of different things. So he could just say, okay, if you guys can premiere it on Netflix and you can take the cost, that's fine.
Okay. I think sure. I can imagine the cartoons would go, but something as high marquee as the live action content, there's no way that's going to go out of the Warner Brothers sphere. And HBO, it's going to be on HBO Max or whatever Discovery Plus HBO Max merges into whatever the streaming service becomes.
Netflix licensing Young Justice for season 5 is more likely.
That I can see happening. That I can see happening.
Well, they could do it as an animated movie and say we'll do it, but as animation.
I mean,
if that's the only way we can get those other 2 movies, I'll take it.
I mean, like, sure, like I mean, I don't really see them doing it, but like, I admit it's possible. I don't know.
And by the way, no, okay, that's a real point of like opinion, which I agree with. I like Snyder's movies too, 100%, but Wonder Woman comes close to 66% good until last. It's not 60, dude. Okay, I get that you want Snyder to run everything, but that was never going to happen. All it would be is him coming back as one movie. You can have your own opinion about Snyder's movies being the only ones that are good and coherent, but I mean, Aquaman and Shazam were pretty good and coherent, so you can't really do that. And by the way, Snyder Queen has a good point, Nick.
I don't know. It just seems like
you could say it seems unlikely, but calling people morons is not a good look.
It's so beyond unlikely that like the thought of it is just such a.
It's still uncalled for, but Cape Crusader is going to be nuts whenever it comes out, if it comes out, because I'm still not convinced that's going to come out.
And Jared, didn't you get some heat on the recent YouTube video the other day?
I'm going to talk about that in a second. And because we're almost done with this topic, JJ will shop his DC stuff around the rock. He's going to entertain it too for Black Adam. He isn't done with that yet.
The Rock is acting like a salty child. He's temper tantering around. He's done with that crap.
Yeah. But wait, no matter what happens with with guess what? They could also do like they could also because the Flash is probably going to do, it's not going to destroy the universe. What it's just going to do is just going to essentially move the Earth that we focus on for the stories to another Earth. The Snyderverse is still going to exist in its own thing to be brought back. Now, Snyder Queen brings up a good point. Sandman is not like is an animation.
Okay, true. My counterpoint is Sandman is not a top tier DC property. It's like, because you got to remember, Why the Last Man was a Vertigo comic as well, and that was on FX.
Oh God! Oh,
and by the way, not really. You can explain a lot of those like contradictions away. I'll talk about that later.
Oh God! My cousin dared me to watch that show.
Mm-hmm.
I have flashbacks now. Thanks, Nick. I'm
so
having nightmares tonight.
I will say this though: the comic itself is really good. Like if you actually read the comic, it's really good. I haven't seen the show, but from what I hear, it's like a Rings of Power. It's like from what I hear, it makes Rings of Power look like Return of the King.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that far off. That's not that far off.
And by the way, Spider-Man, that's uncalled for. Just because we have a difference of opinion, you don't have to like attack people. Sorry, Nick. The point, just give me more shows like Superman and Lois. Probably like, okay, that would work.
Yeah.
True, but Netflix spent more on Stranger Things season 4 than Warner Brothers did on Black Adam. Okay, and
that's what I'm saying. Netflix has deep pockets, and if they wanted to license something, they have the money to do stuff.
They have the money to do it. So never say never. Remember, we know the Snyderverse is going to come out. So now we're going to bring up something else.
Wait. I'm gonna meet you guys halfway. So I'm gonna propose a scenario where I think it might work. I probably what I can see is since they have Zack Snyder on their contract anyway. Like you said, the animation route. What if they did an animated Snyder Cut movie on Netflix? So that I could see happening.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying. And by the way, Spider-Man, no. Nick was just saying how The Rock is acting like is having a temper tantrum because his movies are not going to be made anymore. He wasn't psychoanalyzing him.
And literally, you guys are giving me flack for the Netflix stuff, so I'm trying to meet you guys halfway here. So.
Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. And yeah, and look this way: if we only get an animation or even what's very likely that I could see very much happening is that eventually they authorize it as a comic book series, and I would read the hell out of that.
By Scott Snyder.
No, by Zack Snyder. Don't do although it seems like something Scott Snyder would write, let's be real. Okay, so moving on to the next topic.
No. Last thing I want to say.
Yeah.
The most likely scenario is 5 to 10 years from now, we will get a comic book detailing this, what was like Zack Snyder's original plans. Like I think that is highly likely because we've seen so many different, we've seen different comic book forms, this kind of stuff. I think that is extremely likely in about 5 to 10 years.
And by the way, Taladia is making some fighting words right there. Well, first off, we have Lawrence. He's right, but Taladia is very wrong on that. So I'm gonna Taladia. This is a very special clip I made just for you. Suck it. So
Taladia is barfing right now.
So yeah, our next clip. All right, so now I'm going to talk about this. So I made a Lois Lane video, and needless to say, the internet blew up at me.
I tried to help you out. You
did. Thank you. I appreciate that.
See, this is what happens when you go after people's waifus.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk about the basic idea of the video. As I said, that Lois Lane, as she stands in the comics now, is number one, irrelevant, and number two, drag Superman storylines down. Because guess what? All his storylines with her go to is, I have to save Lois Lane. Which guess what? We know he's going to save her, so there's no stakes in that story anymore. So I said it would be better. I didn't say eliminate the character. I said she could exist, but Superman's not married to her because guess what? She is not important for him to have that human connection because he was raised by the Kents.
So, if okay, so you started a fire. Allow me to lay a nuclear bomb.
Oh boy.
Batman Lois.
You saw how people reacted to the Snyderverse version of that, dude.
Well, no, because there has been like, because in the animated series there actually was like a moment where they were like they kind of dated.
Steve Trevor and Lois.
That would just be a normal relationship.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, Steve Trevor,
Batman
major
Lois,
stalker.
They actually have flirted a little bit in like.
And by the way, Lawrence is against you, Nick. Because right now it's like, what the hell? Even Snyder himself said that's a bad idea. Yeah. Thank you, David. But okay, so all I was saying.
By the way, Jared, you're welcome for taking the heat off of you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Everyone, go pile on Nick. No, I'm only kidding. But anyway, Brow Destroy. I agree with Lois Lane. Golden Age Barbara Gordon as a 10 or a better choice, or Wonder Woman. That's what I said because here's the thing.
Wonder Woman and Batman.
Wait, did you just admit to Wonder Bat, Jared?
No, I am no. Wait, were they? Wait. Were you agreeing with Nick on Batman and Lois Lane, or with me on Lois Lane being irrelevant to Superman? Let's be clear on that. Who are you agreeing with? Because if you agree with Nick, I'll agree with you on that point. But if you're agreeing with me too, I'm more on terms of Superman being with Wonder Woman. Oh, okay, here we go. Golden Age Barbara Gordon is the same age as Bruce Wayne. Okay, that's the one part of Barbara.
Bruce Timm is like, write that down.
You have to age up Barbara then, which is more likely than aging up John Kent. So Hawkman was awesome, but his characterization was a little strange. He felt like Iron Man with Bat. Yeah, that's true. But okay, so all I said was here's the thing. Wonder Woman works better with Superman, particularly now. And first off, the series itself sold over 100,000 copies. Now, JJheat, do you agree with me when I say that modern Superman writers wish that they had those sales?
The best way for me to answer this without setting the internet ablaze is to have two Clark. Is basically what you had before the Time merger in Rebirth, where you had post-crisis Flashpoint Superman and New 52 Superman Superman before.
And by the way, Hevia, for the last time, she is not essential to them having John Kent. This has been a story.
So, quick tangent. Isn't it amazing how 50,000 copies is considered a hit? But as far back as like the 2000s, 100K was considered a failure.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I like Wonder Woman Superman. It's gone back up to the truth.
That low.
Yeah, and by the way, Brown, that's because they put Tomasi on that writer, and he was put on there for the express purpose of sabotaging the relationship and tanking it because he wanted Superman back with Lois. That's why I'm convinced Tomasi and Jurgens, I'm going to anger a lot of people right now, are overrated writers. Let me put it this way. I have a friend. She's amazing. She's really plugged in on this. She's going to come on my show this year. She the thing about it is that she understands that Jurgen, who wrote Death of Superman?
I think it was Dan Jurgens. I have a hate folder for Peter J. Tomasi.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I like his Green Lantern. I'll say that. But
it's the original Nightwing run. It was so freaking bland, and his writing was so terrible.
Yes. Elseworlds stories are better. Isn't that funny? And that's actually going to get into a topic that we're going to talk about after this one. But isn't that funny? With DC, oftentimes their Elseworlds stories are better than their actual continuity stuff. Isn't that funny?
I will play devil's advocate. Thank you, Dave. I was about to go into that, but say what you will about New 52 Superman. He was essentially New 52 Superman was essentially the futuristic Superboy from the Legion of Superheroes cartoon. You know the future Superman where he was a Batman stand-in.
They could have kept him instead of alienating both, because he had a lot of fans despite what the vocal minority of Superman people are. Yeah, I know you love it, Tevia. I'm just saying that I don't like his Superman. I'm just going to tell you. Go ahead.
appreciate it. I'm just going to finish my tangent. But had they kept both and not done the kryptonite poisoning or the timeline merger, you could have had post-crisis Clark be a mentor to New 52 Kal-El, and with Wonder Woman there too, make him a better man. Hell, we might have actually gotten a solid origin story for Donna Troy finally.
Yes, in other words, there was significant story potential, and apparently, according to Charles Sewell, who wrote the Superman Wonder Woman storyline, no, all right, Tavia, it didn't fail. It did not fail. But first off, we're not talking about New 52 Superboy. When you look at the sales, New 52 Superman did not fail. I don't know where you're getting that information from. It's probably because, see, here's the thing. Tavia doesn't like anything that's not Super Sons. So I'm just going to tell you that right now. But when you look at what actually was interesting is that Charles Sewell himself has said that, guess what? They canceled they did the whole Superman Reborn thing, not because the book sold, not because the book failed, because it didn't. It was just because they wanted Superman back with Lois. The creatives, not the fans, because that series, until Peter J. Tomasi came on, sold extremely well. The big problem with him is that all of his villains are just kind of like clones of Superman. Well, they could have brought in other clones. They could have brought in other rogues. I admit that. But the character itself was not bad.
Come on.
What?
Dan DiDio. What did Dan DiDio hated Legacy more than anybody.
Yeah. So let's say New 52 Aquaman was pretty great. I will say this.
The only thing that Dan DiDio hated more than Legacy was Stephanie Brown.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, Brown is right on all this.
Dan DiDio is actually going to be at a convention that I'll be attending next month.
Wear a Stephanie Brown shirt.
No, I will
with a Nightwing hat.
No, I will actually be going up to him and asking him about Stephanie Brown. I will literally do that.
Can you maybe record it so we can play on the show?
He might charge me for that. I don't know. But the thing is, I'm actually going to come at it respectfully. Like, I'm not going to be attacking him, but I'm going to be like, hey, so you're kind of infamous for having kind of a hate voter for Stephanie Brown. Why is that? I'm going to come at him respectfully, and honestly, if I feel like I've come at him like that, he'll probably answer me honestly. You know?
Of course.
But by the way, the overall thesis of but what we're saying, Tevi, is that there were more good books out of the New 52 than people give it credit for. That's why I agree with Brown Destroy here. But here's the thing. My main thesis of that Lois Lane video, all it was that they have all this great story potential, but an over-reliance on nostalgia and toxic vocal minority fans leads to them abandoning that story potential. I said vocal minority. I didn't say all the fans are toxic.
It's like how all the Elicity shippers and Arrow really ruined the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I'm like, no. As comic book people talk about how the Arrowverse was like super comic accurate. No, it was not.
No.
By the way, no, it was the complete opposite. It's essentially like I would argue that the Arrowverse is to DC what Rings of Power is to Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay. Oh, frick off. No, okay, that is too far. Like, okay, come on, man. Walk that back. All right,
I'll walk that back. Fine.
I'm not saying Arrow
was excellent.
I'm not saying Arrow is perfect.
Come on, man.
I'm not even saying it's good in its states, but to call it Rings of Power bad is such beyond hyperbole. Like,
okay, that's fine. That's fine. And by the way, yes, imagine. Okay, so New 52 Batman. So you restart Batman. Your first storyline is Court of Owls.
Why would you start with Court of Owls?
No. What I mean is that your first story is now held up as one of the best Batman stories in the comics as all time because the first story arc was Court of Owls for Batman.
Okay.
Well,
Court of Owls Court of Owls is probably the biggest contribution to the Batman lore in the past 40 years.
Every bit.
Yeah, it shows up everywhere, and it's so good. We said Gotham Knights, but my point is that an over-reliance on nostalgia and fans not allowing things to, with a certain degree change, because you can't change too much, and that's what's happening a lot of times with pop culture. But when you're not allowing them to try new ideas that don't screw up continuity, like Superman, Wonder Woman, guess what it leads to? Stale stories. And by the way,
And Convergence gave you such a perfect opportunity. You already
I would
had
argue.
It didn't come out of nowhere. It was what they did was they established that the story of the New 52 was that they were going to like reboot Superman. No, they're going to update Superman. Just update him. So they said, okay, do it with the Maris Lois. Let's make the armor more Kryptonian. Wait a second. We should apply this to the entire line because we could have all this cool stuff. Didn't Snyder write the
Flashpoint? Because Flashpoint originally was just a Flash story.
Yeah.
Flashpoint was not meant to be. See, that's why I like to compare Flashpoint to Clone Wars, because both are storylines that started out as one thing and then just completely went off the rails and became something else. Because
I love Flashpoint, by the way.
Because if you look at Clone Wars, the Spider-Man Clone Wars was supposed to be 12 issues, ended up being 4 years. Like it was supposed to be a kind of more of a self-contained event, but it just spiraled out of control. And a similar thing.
And by the way, David. I'm sorry. And David, I agree with you. Imagine this: your first Justice League book. Okay, Jeff Johns writing and Jim Lee drawing. I'm sorry. The New 52 came out of the gate swinging the hammer of Thor, baby.
I would say Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo are the Marv Wolfman, George Perez of our time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
No, like I'm talking about iconic writer and artist duos that literally just change, like, because Marv Wolfman and George Perez, they literally changed DC Comics in the 80s, and Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo literally did the same exact thing in the 2010s.
Or it's like Jeff Johns and Ethan Van Sciver on Green Lantern. I have to put in my regular Ethan Van Sciver plugs. But yes, it's Jim Lee, particularly Jim Lee in his prime. And by the way, I have that signed poster of Jim Lee that's back there.
Speaking of which, if DC gets so desperate enough to contract even Van Sciver for a book, Twitter would explode.
Okay, here's the thing.
Wait, hang on. I have a clip for this. This is going to be what comics Twitter is going to be like if Ethan Van Sciver somehow comes back to DC. And that was Ivan Reyes. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
I feel like we're going to get to a point, and this point is actually getting really close, where the pendulum is going to swing so far the other way, where they're trying to bring back the fans they alienated by pissing off the other side, and DC
that don't buy books.
Yes, I feel like we're kind of maybe 5 years away from that happening.
Yeah,
like we're starting to kind of get there.
I mean, we have Jeff Johns coming back to DC. That is huge.
Yes,
but no, hiring Ethan Van Sciver.
Oh yeah,
and let's be honest here. If DC paid Ethan Van Sciver enough money, he'd
come back.
Yep. Yeah,
particularly if he can crap on the legacies of all the really bad writers that we have today.
He would have a field day.
Can you imagine they brought back all of the Comicsgate Kings? Oh my gosh,
Gabe
El Tayyib, Graham Nolan, Chuck Dixon. Can you imagine if all these guys came back and they just spent like the first year crapping on everything that was established?
Okay, here's it is. It's a Batman book written by Chuck Dixon, drawn by Ethan Van Sciver, colored by Gabe El Tayyib.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But he has to say, if they bring him a big enough paycheck, I guarantee you he would, just for the opportunity to crap on like, let's say Fitzmartin's book. Oh, he would have a field day on Fitzmartin.
I'm not sure Gabe would come back, because Gabe's a bit more principled. But like I could just see EVS being like, "Oh, you're gonna offer me a big chunk of money? I'm gonna piss off a bunch of people." Yes.
Yeah, that's the only way why I'd say he would do it. But okay, so that's my point on that video. And oh my gosh, Dave the Impaler also has another great artist, like one of my favorites, Shane Davis, baby. Shane Davis is Superman. All right, so next up, we're going to talk about this. All right, so we're really talking about Dark Knights of Steel for this, but we're going to expand this to... All right, good night, Tevye. We're going to expand this to a general discussion about Tom Taylor, because I've said for the longest time, Tom Taylor, while crappy in elseworld stories. I mean, no, sorry. I'm getting reversed. While crappy in continuity storylines is somehow the best. I'm saying this, the best elseworlds writer for DC of all time. I'm saying that right now because when you look at his stuff, like his stuff on Injustice, his stuff on Deceased, and by the way, that's how I know he knows how to write John Kent. So you can't like tell me he doesn't know how to write the character. And Dark Knights of Steel, dude, the dude is a master at elseworlds.
He can do no wrong when he doesn't have an established. His craft. Go ahead, Jared. Go ahead.
The thing about I also love about his story because it's elseworlds. Guess what? No, there's no rules. So guess what he could do? He can kill anyone. He killed Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman in the first arc of his Earth 2. All right, so see you, David. But dude, that's why I love this guy, because when he's writing elseworlds, do whatever the hell you want, kill anyone. That's why whenever Tom Taylor gets on a book, people go, "Okay, who's dying?" There's tons of popular people who don't read canon storylines. These people claim to be legit DC fans, and they don't know anything about what's going on. Yeah, that's true.
Taurus. They're Taurus.
Yeah, exactly. That's what most that's what most of the vocal comic book people on there on Twitter are, because they claim
I'm really glad that we finally have a word to describe these people. Like, I'm really
that's what they are, because objectively they don't buy, and plus a lot of people on Twitter who are vocal minority people, they've admitted to pirating comics, so they didn't even buy the books. So I'm just saying that's why I think DC is gonna, because you could say that Warner Brothers Discovery does not care about the comics. Eventually they will, because if DC keeps failing to the degree that they have been failing, they're going to have to care somehow, because the comics are the marketing for their movies.
And this is what I say for Mark. Say what you will about comics being a niche audience, but if you're not making any money, if you're not having any sales at all, then what's the point? You can chase clout all you want, but at the end of the day, you got to make a profit. Mm-hmm. None of these books are selling. The only real successes I could really see in the past few years are Yarflor's Wonder Girl to a degree.
Hell yeah.
Jace Fox, if you're factoring purely Future State, not what's going on in the main
just
company.
Just
Future State. And Son of Kal-El as a shelf title we've discussed on previous streams.
And in like the first issue, and then the issue where he had his first kiss. That's it.
I do not. But Marvel can get away with this because they got Disney money, so they can get away with a lot more crap than what DC can.
Well, I know James Robinson wrote some Earth 2, but a lot of that was Tom Taylor. That was actually one of the first projects he worked on at DC. But yeah, Earth 2 even, and that's the thing, because I found it's like whenever it's like, think about what Tom Taylor has written in terms of Elseworld storyline. All right, you ready? Injustice. Like
yes.
The good parts of Injustice, not the parts where he stepped away and they had like some weirdo come in. All right. Then you have Dark Knights of Steel, where it's basically DC Game of Thrones, where Batman's a half Kryptonian. Dude. Okay, so Nick, are you familiar with the storyline for Dark Knights of Steel? Do you mind if we explain the basic plot to you?
Please do.
Okay, so basically, it's taking place in like medieval times. So I think you could pretty much tell that, or like Game of Thrones times. So the Superman ship comes in, except it's holding Lara, Jor-El, and Kal. In other words, actually, she was pregnant with Kal when they escape Krypton. When she lands, they give birth. He has all the powers. He teams up. He helps the House of Wayne rule Gotham, if you will. And what happens is that Jor-El has an affair with Martha Wayne, leading to the birth of Bruce. That's how Bruce has Kryptonian powers. And then Lex Luthor becomes the Joker, but with a Green Lantern ring, and he kills Jor-El, and this leads to a war because they essentially link it to Black Lightning's kingdom. So Supergirl flies to Black Lantern's kingdom, picks up his son, and drops him. and this leads to like a big war. This is leading to a war between the Kryptonian kingdom and the Amazon kingdom, because the Amazons have an alliance with Black Lightning's kids, and they'll always go to war with them. And apparently, they even changed, like, okay, so the host of the Etrigan Demon is Ra's al Ghul.
I mean, he is the demon's head. So.
He is the demon's head. Yeah, that's true. So it's just, and then the Robins are like Batman's scouts that he sends out. And Batman's whole deal is he's hunting down metahumans, because there's a prophecy that like the metahumans are going to destroy the world. So he hunts down like Black Canary, and he hunts down. And then the big turning point is when he meets the Titans, which are like Beast Boy, Starfire, Raven, and then they're under attack by, I think it's I don't remember who exactly attacks them, but Batman is taken in by the Kents because Superman finds out Batman's parentage, and apparently like injures him because it's a Game of Thrones thing. So Superman's character is a little different, but then the farm's attacked, and then Batman teams up with the Teen Titans and like has this big realization, like, I was wrong about trying to lock up metahumans the whole time. And apparently Wonder Woman is in a relationship with Supergirl, so that's a version of Super Wonder. Okay, that's a version, but okay, that's this still counts. But the Supergirl is not Kara. It's a girl named Zala. It's an entirely new character, but it is really, really, really good. But my point is that this dude knows how to do Elseworld stories so well. And honestly, that's what DC's advantage is over Marvel, because Marvel doesn't really have that many well-known, good Elseworld stories. They have a few, like Dark Ages, also written by Tom Taylor. And that's a big point there. Or like...
I mean, oh wait, are you talking about Marvel doesn't have very many Elseworld stories?
Marvel.
Yes.
Because what are Marvel's what are Marvel's well-known? Like, we got Days of Future Past, Age of Apocalypse.
Well, here's the thing: does House of M count? Does House of M count?
Wasn't that basically their version of Flashpoint?
Kind of, but Darwin Cooks is another good one. Yeah.
Oh, New Frontier. Yeah, because DC has so many really good Elseworld stories, like so many.
Because DC invented the multiverse. Just wanna clarify that DC is the reason why Marvel has a multiverse. Another idea that they keep
literally the
copying
multiverse was started in Flash of Two Worlds. It's how they explained away the fact that like there's Barry Allen, and then they also brought back a guy Jay Garrick, and they explained it was Earth 1, Earth 2 kind of thing.
One Night Stand when Superman had long hair. Check out, that's a storyline.
Justice League Nail.
They also have the What Ifs, but that's not real. But I mean, those are like separate one-offs. I'm talking about like
those are like that's like that. It's more equivalent to like a Twilight Zone anthology.
I mean,
series.
The closest they really have to like really in-depth Elseworlds is the Ultimate Universe. That's really it.
I mean, they also have some of the alternate timeline stuff, like Days of Future, like so a lot of the X-Men stuff, like Days of Future Past,
Marvel Zombies,
Apocalypse.
Oh yeah, Marvel Zombies. But let me put it this way: when you think of Elseworld storylines, what's the first company you think of?
DC.
Well, the company that literally owns the copyright on it.
Yes, exactly. But my point is that it's like DC has. Let's do a run through on DC's Elseworld stories, besides the one that Tom Taylor has. The ones that Tom Taylor has
Gotham by Gaslight, White Knight.
Yes,
the Nail.
White Knight. The Nail.
Let's see. Kingdom Come.
Yes, yeah. That started off as a alternate future. Back when, so when DC blew up the multiverse in Crisis on Infinite Earths, they still wanted to tell Elseworld storylines. They did alternate timelines with Hyper Time.
Let's see here. Batman versus Spawn, Batman versus the Predator. Those are technically Elseworlds. Then you have Batman versus Dracula, the one
Dark
where
Knight Returns.
That is Elseworlds.
Hey, what's up, PK?
Our Arkham Asylum is Elseworlds.
And by the way, I think he's talking about Marvel's 1602, I think.
Is Watchmen considered Elseworlds, or is it just like an alternate?
Before New 50,
Wait.
before New.
Red
Until
Sun.
recently.
Red Sun.
Yeah, American Alien, Superman.
How
American
about
Alien.
any story in the multiverse's trade, dude? Oh,
What about
Earth One.
Superman American Alien?
Yeah, but my point is that when you think of like Elseworlds storylines, you think of DC. Yeah, so Superman or Earth One, Justice League Nail, duh. Yeah, exactly. So that's my thing, and that's why I think Tom Taylor excels more at DC at doing Elseworlds, because DC has this rich tradition of doing Elseworlds. Marvel kind of, but DC specifically, and that's why also I think that DC's Elseworld stories are objectively better than their in continuity stuff, because it's like, yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever heard of Batman Thrill Killer?
I've heard of it vaguely.
I mentioned this like kind of like a few weeks ago about like, oh, there's that one Batman Elseworld story where it's set in the 60s and like Barbara Gordon is like kind of like the head of things, you know, whatever. I just looked it up and it's Batman Thrill Killer.
Yeah. Or it's like the 1966 universe.
What about that one Elseworld story where Nightwing depowers everyone?
Oh yeah, New World Order, where he defeats the entire Justice League.
Oh, Batman, the Blue, the Gray, and the Bat is a 1992. I'm looking up Elseworld story. We're in the American Civil War.
Oh yeah, Watchmen is kind of Elseworlds, since those characters are versions of the Charlton characters that DC bought, like the Question, Blue Beetle.
Oh, there's a
Captain
Batman Tarzan crossover. That's cool.
Of course there is. Of course there is.
Batman Tarzan, Claws of the Catwoman, 1999. A 1930s Batman teams up with Lord Greystroke Tarzan to assist the priestess of an African cat cult in protecting her people treasures from the Two-Face like mercenary Finnegan Dent.
A little on the nose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Ultimate Spider-Man. I just started reading. It is really good. Yeah,
there's a lot.
But yeah, they even had Justice League versus Predator, where the Dominators are responsible for creating the Predators and create ones that copy the Justice League's powers. But my point is like DC. Do you guys agree with the assertion that DC's Elseworld stories are better than their continuity stories, and that's always been that way?
Yes.
There is a Batman Daredevil crossover. I have to read it.
Yeah, hell yeah. And by the way, yeah, Green Lantern versus Aliens was basically an alien movie, and then they put all the xenomorphs. Okay, so the way it works is that when the Green Lanterns first encounter the xenomorphs, they put since they apparently won't kill them, their idea was, all right, let's take all the xenomorphs off of this planet. And you know where they put them? On Mogo. It doesn't turn Mogo into a xenomorph hive or anything like that, but it is nuts.
Green Lantern and Star Trek.
Oh, yeah, that too. That works, actually. Can you imagine Spock trying to talk about a Green Lantern ring?
Did you know there's actually a Star Trek Doctor Who crossover comic?
Of course there is. Terminator versus Superman and DC versus... Yeah, but... Okay, so my point is that... Well, by the way, but... there have been some, but... Okay, so let me ask you guys this. What's your top... Let's say top 5 favorite Elseworld stories for DC?
Okay, I'll go first.
All right, go ahead, JJheat.
Number 5, Injustice, but that's only because the tie-in comics are so inconsistent. Number 4, Justice League Nail. Number 3, Number 3, New World Order with Nightwing depowers everyone. Number 2, Kingdom Come. And my number 1 Elseworld story, oh, that's a hard one. But if I had to pick one purely off the top of my head, I have to go with the Amalgamverse. I'm sorry, I'm a 90s kid. That's always going to stand out to me.
I mean, you have Dark Claw. So, okay, so I'll go next. Number 5 is Justice League, what was it? Act of God, where like a meteorite depowers everyone. And you see like the Justice League react to not having powers. And of course, Batman just trains them all in hand-to-hand combat. Plus you get Superman, Wonder Woman. I'm going to say that right there. And then you have Kingdom Come, because it's Kingdom Come. Injustice. Dark Knights of Steel. And really, my number one favorite, honestly, when I think about it, is probably. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with. You know, it's good. Justice League Last Ride, where it's the Justice League are like disbanded because of like a battle against Apocalypse, and they have to in order to deliver Lobo to Apocalypse. And it's this whole basic threat. You see Darkseid with a Green Lantern ring. Oh, it's so good.
Ooh.
What about you, Nick?
All right, so number 5 is Gotham by Gaslight. Then Batman Predator. It just works so good.
Yeah, the Alfred with a shotgun.
Can't go wrong.
Justice League Power Rangers.
Oh yes.
Dark Knight Returns. And I'm gonna Kingdom Come.
Mm-hmm. Oh, all right. Here's another good Elseworld story, by the way. Just want to put that in there. The sequel to the Justice League Unlimited show. I love that.
There was that one issue with Wonder Woman and Darkseid, and that kind of weirded me out. But
that was an alternate reality. But here's the thing: the alternate reality stuff doesn't work with Darkseid because there's only one Darkseid. And by the way,
did you ever check out some of like the continuation comics where they did like Smallville season 11 or like?
I have a few of those trades. Yeah, I did. Those are really good. I love those.
I kind of found that interesting.
Dave the Impaler, New Frontier is probably his favorite. Yeah, that is such a classic story. I love that. We should cover that.
I've only seen the animated movie, and the movie's really good.
The movie's really great. We'll probably talk about that for movie night. Speaking of which, tomorrow we're talking about Justice League War. And by the way, as a contrast to DC's to Marvel Zombies in 3 separate series called Marvel Universe. Oh yeah. So they did a series called Marvel Universe versus like I have the Wolverine one where it's but the Punisher and the Avengers are all in this one continuity where it's a flesh-eating virus. It's a zombie virus that takes over, and it's really cool because like the zombies have like sentience, but it's not like in Marvel Zombies where like they retain their characteristics. They really don't. But what's cool about it is that Marvel didn't tell you that Marvel Universe versus Punisher, Wolverine, and Avengers were one story. They never told you that. And I think I covered this on one episode of my X-Men show at one point. But yeah, so Brown Destroyer says Superman American Alien, Justice League Nail, Batman Beyond, Justice League animated series continuity, and Injustice. Yeah, those are really good ones. And then I like Justice League War except for the bad characters, Hal Jordan. That's just New 52 Hal Jordan.
New 52 Hal Jordan. Ooh.
That's just him. I'm gonna tell you because that's pretty much the way he was in the comic. But all right. So before we log off, we're gonna talk a little bit about Bad Batch. All right. So Bad Batch season 2 premiered. Nick, do you care about spoilers?
I don't care about the show much at all. So do your worst.
All right, JJheat, what'd you think of the 2 episodes that premiered?
I thought it was a good premiere. Technically, I can't really judge anything because the season just kicked off, but it's definitely sounding like a good time.
I like the new color scheme on the armor because, of course, at that point, because they're on the run from the Empire, they would 100%. They would 100% like color their armor different. Do you still remember the video compare? Yeah, I saw that. It was really good. And so yeah, I definitely liked I liked the show. I liked the action. I like how they have a little bit more of the clones like rebelling against the Empire kind of. So and I'm like that's always very interesting to me because I thought there was like a chip that was making them execute Order 66, but maybe that chip is like shorting out or something like that. Which is interesting when you think about it, because like because in this one, spoiler alert, you had like a clone that's executed because he won't falsify a record. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But anyway, so let me ask you this, JJheat. What characters do you think are going to show up in this show? Because last time it was like cameo. We already know Commander Cody, but who else do you think we could see?
Cal Kestis.
Ooh.
Yeah, I could definitely see him coming back.
That actually would work because the show was taken because that game takes place roughly around the same time as the Bad Batch.
Didn't they have an episode where Kanan appeared, like Kanan Jarrus?
Yeah,
that might have been an
actually
Easter egg.
No. That was the first episode of Bad Batch because they show the clones killing Kanan's master.
Because I want to see some more. Because like I'm a big fan of Jedi Fallen Order. I would like to see Trilla. Maybe Trilla and Cal appear. Like that would be really cool. We need to have a discussion about Jedi Fallen Order at some point because, like,
definitely,
because I really feel like Jedi, because like if you can, like, I'm taking this different direction, but I don't care.
Go ahead.
Because if you compare Trilla to Reva, they're kind of the same character, except Trilla is done so much better to the fact that you actually care about Trilla.
To an extent, I'll give you that.
It doesn't take much.
They're very similar characters. I mean, they're obviously.
It doesn't take much for me to not care about Reva. I'm just gonna say that right there.
But Trilla, they actually give her a sympathetic backstory.
Yeah.
And it's like
they reference General Grievous.
The actor, the actor is actually interesting. Like she's evil, but like she's more just like I'd say she's kind of more of a neutral evil kind of thing. Like she's not evil for the sake of it. She's like angry. She's just trying to, do her thing. But I'd say she's neutral evil. That's Trilla. And she's just a really, really good character.
I thought Reva was just walking contrivance and anger because you want to be evil. You're severing limbs, and then you just get cold feet at the end. Like I get it. A lot of this is just plot armor because Luke goes on to, to save the galaxy. But I think Reva was just. I just couldn't connect with Reva.
At least they followed through with Trilla. At least her character was consistent all the way through. Like, at least her character was consistent all the way. Spoilers for Jedi Fallen Order, but her death is great. Like that she's basically the final boss, and like then you see like you hear Darth Vader breathing, and she goes like,
"Oh yeah, She literally just free. No, I love that scene, Nick, because the way they reveal Vader is like, no. You just hear silence, and then all of a sudden you first off you see her face change immediately because she senses what's coming. Then all of a sudden you just hear the breathing slowly getting louder. Then you hear the steps, and then it comes out, and then Vader emerges, and then I love Cal. Well, that doesn't look good. No, that is not good. And then it's like he goes, "You have failed to be Inquisitor. Avenge us!" And then I love the Jedi just jumps at Vader. He just swats her away. I'm like, "Yo, that's so good." Oh yeah, man,
it's like that game got Vader right. Like there's no way Cal Kestis could beat him.
One more Elseworlds that's great. I can't believe no one mentioned it. All-Star Superman.
Yeah, All-Star Superman is really good.
Oh yeah,
it's great. It's great.
If you ever want to talk about a storyline that gets Superman to a T, it's that storyline.
Also, the other thing is Superman is overpowered as frick in that storyline. And I'm not just talking about he gets like the ultra dosage of like solar radiation. He's already OP even before that. And so this comic shows you can have an overpowered character and actually make it work.
Yeah, you definitely can.
James Gunn, take notes.
Yes, please take notes. Please make this good. But going back to it's like Bad Batch. See, I like this show because my thing about Star Wars, I've always enjoyed the non-Jedi character, the non-Force wielding characters way more because I feel like in this universe, it's a bit more reliant on their individual skill as opposed to having the magical force surrounding them.
Yeah. Plus, honestly, when you have Jedi characters, they all seem to go through the same plot line. Like Ezra literally goes through the same plot progression that Luke goes. Like every Jedi character, like, oh, I'm learning how to use the Force. It's just like the same kind of like plot.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
2 words: Star Killer.
That's actually one word, but okay. But yes, I would love an animated series that's just the Force Unleashed, dude. Can you imagine how hard that would go?
You do realize that the actor, the voice actor for Star Killer, eventually went on to voice Maul.
Kenobi. And JJheat, do it.
Kenobi.
I do think at some point Cal Kestis will show up in a live action.
He will.
I think because he's played by Cameron Monaghan, who's already an established actor, and like just have him step on screen. It's
and
like you already
he's
got
a popular character. It's not like it's just some niche character. No, people like him.
Like they already have like, for example, Obi-Wan borrowed heavily from Fallen Order, like the whole like Inquisitor Tower.
Mhm.
They literally just borrowed that sequence from the end of
That's literally the location from Fallen Order,
and the whole going in the water and like all that stuff. It's literally Also, a BD-1 unit does show up in Book of Boba Fett, and that made me so happy to see a BD-1 unit show up.
And that's the only time we'll ever talk about the Book of Boba Fett. But
the only parts of Book of Boba Fett that matter is the Mandalorian segments.
When he
and that small dig of Kathleen Kennedy that was edited out.
Yeah,
wait, what?
What?
There was a brief scene where, if you actually translate it, it was a shady dig at Kathleen Kennedy that was kept in. I can't tell you which episode it's in.
Yeah. Tell us off screen, and then we'll talk, and then I'll look that up. But but yeah, that's why I like the clones as the best characters more than like the Jedi, because again, I just find like the clones are more interesting because when you look at like episode 3, when you look at the movies, they're just a faceless army. But then when you actually watch like Clone Wars, you see that
clankers.
They're more unique. It's like I love that one clone at the first episode of Clone Wars. We goes, all right, clankers, shock laser. He gets a minigun, and I'm like, oh, this is so dope. The Rookies episode, I'm like, okay, so they're actual characters instead of just Trooper 1, 2, 3, 4 going forward. I'm like, this is it. Scrap them.
Do you think they should make a KOTOR series? I really want a KOTOR series with Keanu Reeves as Revan. Imagine like a Disney Plus, like it's like a 8 to 10 episode miniseries, or it just goes through the events.
I have a theory. So Mando season 3 is going to take place on Mandalore. All right, I have a theory that we'll see a flashback to the Mandalorian Wars, and then we'll see like Revan's cloak or the mask.
You do realize that the Mandalorian Wars took place like hundreds of years.
No, I know, but the thing about Mandalorians is that they're very by flashback. I don't mean like a character that existed now and is in the. What I mean is that they'll
an exposition dump. Basically.
Yeah, they'll have an exposition dump, and then it'll go to the Mandalorian Wars. We'll have like maybe Bo-Katan like narrating, and then we'll see like Revan essentially, or like a reference to him.
So what I could see them doing is like maybe making a reference to Candace Ordo, who was Mandalore in like the KOTOR timeline. Like maybe have his helmet and say like, oh, this is the helmets of all the past Mandalores, and you see one that says Candace Ordo, or it's like Candace Ordo's helmet. They could do that.
They'll have Revan's mask like as a trophy there and say, oh yeah, this was the mask of like a great Jedi warrior who fought us against in the Mandalorian.
I mean, do you realize that Revan's mask is Mandalorian? Like basically Revan.
No, I know that
from
That's what I'm saying. I don't do that.
I don't think they'll do much Revan stuff in Mandalorian itself, because that's maybe in Ahsoka.
Well, what I'm saying is that yes, but here's the thing about it. Revan is so like inexplicably linked to the Mandalorian Wars, so there's
I can see a reference, but
opportunity is there. Let me put it this way: the opportunity is there for them to like have like his mask, or like have like the silhouette of him.
Okay. Maybe like an offhand reference. I think we would probably be, if we're gonna get a KOTOR reference, it'd probably be Candace Ordo, who literally was Mandalore in the KOTOR timeline.
And they could reference, and he also went off on adventures with a Jedi. In other words, somehow drop and recanonize Darth Revan, because that's what everyone wants, because I'd argue he's the most popular extended universe character.
I want to see more Darth Bane storyline. Have you read the Darth Bane trilogy?
No, I haven't. I want to.
I have. It's good. I highly recommend it.
I'll check it out.
One moment.
Nick is getting his collectibles out. But yeah, it was kind of funny. for some that's not canon, you notice how like Disney keeps releasing a bunch of Revan merch, like the action figure that I have, his lightsabers. It's only a matter of time before they have an official cosplay costume for him. So I'm like, you might as well just recanonize him. You know that's what people want.
So I only got the first and the third books. So these are my Darth Bane books. So this is the third book in the trilogy, Darth Bane, Dynasty of Evil. See, here's the thing. You know, you want your badass like females. Darth Zana, literally the second in the rule of two.
Is Darth Bane the one who established the rule of two?
Yes.
Darth Bane is, and Darth Bane is literally the first one. He's the first in the line, and Darth Vader is like the last in the line, basically. And Darth Zana was the second one. There's 3 books. This is the first. This is the first one. This is the third one. It's really good.
I'll pick it up.
They're really good books. It's basically Darth Bane, where he goes from like a miner on a work colony, company town kind of thing. It basically takes place at the tail end of like the Jedi Civil War, where you have like the Brotherhood of Sith, and it's kind of like this kind of like great kind of thing where like the Jedi are more becoming like the Sith, and the Sith are becoming more like the Jedi, and it's literally killing them both. And it ends at like the Battle of Rusan, and he like finds Zana as Rain, and then like each book kind of takes place like 5 to 10 years between each other, and they're really good. They are really, really good. By the way, Darth Bane is canon.
Yeah, he is.
The character himself, but I don't believe his stories are, because Darth Bane appears in the Clone Wars, and he's said to be the first of the Rule 2, but his stories themselves are not canon.
And by Nick, I just thought what they could do, if they don't want to like adapt like the games of Old Republic, they could do a Clone Wars style show, but it's the Mandalorian Wars.
Possibly. That would be cool.
And have it follow Revan, or basically do in Clone Wars where it follows a bunch of different people, but also Revan. And then it ends like, let's say, when his ship is attacked by his Padawan, he is captured by the Jedi and says to be continued in Star Wars. Because I think like if you put Mandalorian in front of it, I think that now that's gonna really like get views because of Mandalorian.
You might as well call it Tales of the Old Republic.
Oh yeah, that too.
But yeah, no High Republic, none of that.
Or Revan, a Star Wars. Or Revan, a Star Wars story directed by Dave Filoni. That's key.
I think if you're gonna do that kind of thing, like the CG Bad Batch style, would probably be best.
But I'm saying, if you also got a Revan movie, can you? I know that's a pipe dream for right now, but
for me, one of the greatest disappointments with them doing Tales of the Jedi is they had the opportunity to bring in. They could have done a Revan vignette. They could have done a Cal Kestis, but like it's just like.
Maybe they run season 2.
I got to be honest with you. I'm not really interested in a bunch of like the Clone War stuff. Like Rebels is cool. I like that. Like the Dark Times, I find that to be a really interesting time period. Like the Clone War stuff just never really grabbed me. The Mandalorian timeline, I think is really cool. I think that's a really cool playground. And then Old Republic is some of my favorite eras.
Oh yeah, Old Republic is like it. With me, it's Clone Wars because I like a good war story, but I also love the Old Republic is like my number 2 favorite Star Wars era. What about you, JJheat, favorite Star Wars era?
I would have to say Old Republic and in the original trilogy. I can't.
Have you ever read any of the new Jedi Order books?
No. What I did read,
War.
The Star Wars book that I did read was the Revan book. That's a sequel to Knights of the Old Republic 1. I read that. I loved it.
Jared, I hate to cut you off, but I feel like Kylo Ren was a poor man's Jay Solo.
I think they were attempting to like amalgamate Jace and Revan.
No. What it was is they are basically adapting the Legacy of the Force storyline, where so Han and Leia had 3 children, 2 twins. I mean, a set of twins called Jaina and Jason, and then Anakin, a younger brother named Anakin, and then Luke had a son with Mara Jade, literally the
The
greatest
female Star Wars character of all time, for those of you that are in the know.
Yeah. And they had a son named Ben. I'm sure you're kind of catching on.
Yeah, I got it.
And so in the Legacy of the Force storyline, Jason went to the dark side and became Darth Caedus. And then Jaina had to kill her brother.
Wow.
So it's literally, legacy, like it's the parallels are there. It's like it's very strong parallels to the point where it's like they probably read Cliff Notes versions of those stories and just kind of took inspiration. It's very, to me, it's not really plagiarizing because they own the story, so they're just whatever.
It's hackifying. But can you imagine if the next Star Wars trilogy is the Yuuzhan Vong? I mean, they would have to recast the actors, but I'm telling you, can you imagine?
I wouldn't trust Disney Star Wars with Yuuzhan Vong.
I wouldn't trust it. Yeah, unfortunately, I wouldn't trust it. Maybe as if they did like a Clone Wars style show that took place in that era, that would be cool. Because the Yuuzhan Vong, they're the type of thing that when you invade, oh no, you're not surviving that.
I mean, I just wish they bring in Kyle Katarn like that. I want to.
Yes, from Jedi Academy. Hell yes.
Oh, I got there's a quote by him.
There's no reason not that they have such potential in these eras that they keep ignoring.
Okay, so one of my favorite Kyle Katarn quote is, "I'm no Jedi. I'm just a guy with a lightsaber and a few questions."
That's such a good one.
Because Kyle Katarn is this really cool character because he started off as kind of like this Han Solo-esque kind of character, and then he got Force powers in the second game, and then in Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast he had cut himself off, so he's got to reconnect himself, and then in Jedi Academy he's like a mentor character.
So say what you will about Starkiller, but you got to admit that game was badass to play,
dude. Throwing around stormtroopers and cutting arms off? Oh, hell yes.
Yeah, Starkiller is one of those characters where it's or him going toe-to-toe, him actually defeating Vader, okay, yeah, I can believe that.
I can believe that. When you see how powerful that dude is, oh, yeah.
He brought down an entire dreadnought single-handedly.
Yeah, he force-pulled a Star Destroyer. Yeah.
Even Goku, even if Goku would be like, "Dang, I want to fight that guy."
Yeah, but that's another. I wish that we could get some adaptation of that, but well done for Starkiller, because that's a story that I really think that they. That's my problem. When Disney came in and decanonized everything, they decanonized all the good stuff too.
To be fair, Force Unleashed was always tenuous with the canon anyway. It was never really fully canon to begin with. It's canon if you want it to be, kind of thing.
Dave the Impaler says the Yuuzhan Vong should have been the sequel trilogy. True. Instead, we got Jar Jar Abrams' weak retreads and Boss nostalgia.
I'd argue Heir to the Empire and Thrawn with this second Clone Wars kind of thing.
Thrawn.
Have you all read the Thrawn trilogy?
I haven't yet. I need to.
That should have been the sequel trilogy because that literally takes place 30 years after Star Wars.
Hands down.
Yeah. There's so much potential. Yeah, go ahead, JJheat.
Fun fact, a lot of people were saying Ezra was going to be Disney's Starkiller. A lot of people were saying that.
Ezra Miller?
I mean, they could have gone.
Ezra Bridger.
Oh, Ezra Bridger. Yeah, they could have gone in that direction.
I mean, you already had Ezra turning to the dark side in season 3, being manipulated by Maul. Maul was the voice actor for Maul was Starkiller.
They still could, because apparently they're going to do a live action version of Sabine Wren and Ezra. They are bringing them in
the Ahsoka series.
Yeah, which makes sense. And General Syndulla does exist in this era because she was in Squadrons, which does take place after.
She was also in episode 9 too. Just saying that. But all right.
Wait, where was she?
The ghost shows up in the big ship battle where Lando brings in all the ships.
I know that they have some Rebels references in Rogue One where like you can see Chopper on one point, and I think at some point they actually call for General Syndulla over the comms in Rogue One, and I think the Ghost is actually in some of the fleet shots of Rogue One.
Yeah, they are in audiobook form, yes. But before we log off, there's one question I got to ask you guys. What's your one Star Wars dream project? In other words, if there's one thing that you would like to see made, but okay, I want to be clear on this, done well. In other words, if they were to do this, it would be actually done well. Okay, we know what Nick wants. But JJheat, what about you? What's the one Star Wars project that's done well? And that's the thing. This is in a perfect timeline where if you adapt it, it'll be adapted well.
Oh, I got 3 off the top of my head. I got the Thrawn trilogy, the Yuuzhan Thrawn, or the Darth Bane. Any of those 3. Any of those 3.
All right, so we're going by 3. KOTOR, Darth Bane, and then probably probably Cal Katarn's, like the whole Jedi Knight saga.
And all right, so mine would be KOTOR, Thrawn, Republic Commando.
Oh, that's a good one.
Dude.
You do know the Republic Commandos actually appeared on Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, I know. But can you imagine if they made a Republic Commando movie? Or just a sequel to the damn game?
That's what they should have done instead of Battlefront 2.
Yeah, that would have been dope. I mean, the commandos do show up in that, and I love that. But you can't like have the Scourge, Boss, Fixer skins. But I'm like,
Star Killer would be an honor. Star Killer would be an.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Oh,
how about go ahead, JJheat.
Star Killer would be an honorable mention, but I just don't trust the Disney Star Wars to do it.
To be fair, Force Unleashed 2 did end on a cliffhanger because like they had captured Darth Vader, and the last shot was showing that like Boba Fett was on their trail. So like there is if they wanted to, there is a story hook there.
So the one point I will say though, so I would have liked to see a Clone Wars arc that's the Republic Commando guys, like the actual. It's kind of funny. Scorch shows up in Bad Batch. You do know that, right?
Yes.
Which is weird because I'm like, can we get like Imperial? Can we get the plot for Imperial Commando, but in Clone Wars animation? That'd be great. And then Dave the Imperial says either an adaptation of the Star Wars legacy comic with Kyd Skywalker by John Ostrander or a KOTOR series. Yes.
What? Oh, did any of you guys read the Knights of the Republic comic book series where it's like this young Padawan where like he gets framed for murder and he's like trying to go around? That's a really good comic. It's basically
Weapons go up once in that?
No, I think possibly because it does take place in that timeline. But it's basically it's kind of like a Rebels kind of thing, like that. They kind of get like a Ghost type crew, but it's a really good comic.
Didn't they essentially use that as inspiration for Barriss Offee framing Ahsoka in season 5?
Possibly.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, any honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions for me. I already said Republic Commando, but I have 2. Okay, so would probably be a Revan movie played by Keanu Reeves. And probably, if I had to go off of something, a movie for Cal Kestis. Assuming it'd be good.
I'll settle for Cal Kestis just showing up in live action. By the way, before we go, I got some treasures I want to show off.
Yeah. All right, that's a good idea.
We're talking about Star Wars, so I figured I'd grab some of my cool Star Wars related treasures because I actually got.
Yeah, I have this Black Series Darth Revan.
I'm gonna one up you on this one, Jared. I'm sorry. This one is I'm gonna be one upping you.
Okay.
Master replica, mother ducker. This is a master replica Darth Vader.
Oh, really? I got something for you too.
So, if we're doing that,
Nice. Dun 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 dun. I love how some people actually put like lyrics to that song.
So yeah, this is a Force Effects Kylo Ren. I literally got it for $1 at a garage sale. But
mine's a Galaxy's Edge saber.
Yeah, so this one, it has the motion. So it's actually pretty decent. It's obviously made for kids, but it's one of the premium ones.
Yeah, I like that. What I want is a Nerf gun that's a replica of the Republic Commando gun that like transforms in like a sniper rifle and a grenade launcher. I'd love that. But all right, so Jens, do you have any?
This is a master replica Darth Vader saber. It's like actually made of metal. It's actually pretty heavy. And then this is super glued to it. You know, it's like an actual, thing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically what I want to do is you can actually buy like light technology and just kind of put it in here kind of thing. Because like I actually want to get into lightsaber combat. There's actually 2 different schools in my area that actually teach like lightsaber combat.
Mm-hmm.
And probably what I'll do is I'll probably just take this and then because like those hilts are actually really expensive. They're like hundreds of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And if I already have this, I might as well just convert it.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah. So I'll buy this, and then don't be surprised if you start seeing YouTube videos of me doing lightsaber combat. But yeah, come spring, I'm definitely going to get into that because like I need exercise. I need kind of like a thing. So
by the way, at one point, this is actually inspiring me. We should do a collectible show and tell stream where we just show off our stuff.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. We're going to put that on the schedule because that's a fantastic idea for fun. And we can have some people come on for like to show off their stuff. Because, well, if you see Enosh, he's probably going to beat all of us because his entire background is like thousands of action figures.
Yeah, so for me, it's like different like collectible video games or some other random stuff, But yeah, I got some good stuff.
I can show off my Hot Toys, but my Hot Toys Golden Iron Man right there.
Oh, that is a hot toy.
Yeah, everything lights up. I can put the line for that. But all right, so gentlemen, any concluding thoughts on any of the topics that we talked about, the James Gunn and stuff? I'll start with Nick.
We need to do more Star Wars content, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to start putting that in there.
Yeah, because like, it's obvious all 3 of us are really care about Star Wars. And, I mean, we'll still talk about DC, but like I want to talk about more than just DC. And I think Star Wars, at least the stuff about Star Wars we love. I don't want to be just another hating on current Star Wars because like that's kind of been done to death. Let's talk about the stuff about parts of Star Wars we love.
Mm-hmm. It's a good idea.
I agree.
JJheat, any concluding thoughts on any of the topics we talked about today?
Well, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Of course, everyone else in the audience, please be on the lookout for our first official DCAMU review tomorrow night with Justice League War. And I look forward to 2023 being a great year for all of us.
Heck yeah, we're going to really we're going to stay heroic, you could say. But on that note, all right, everyone, stay heroic. We will be sure to see you.
We'll be with you. Always.
Excelsior.
And okay.